We normally have our Monday meeting on Zoom, so we have 4 locations, so we have like everybody join in from different parts of Southern California, but today we've dragged everybody here to Corona to have it together, so it's our Monday 9 a.m. meeting that we always have. Then we're going to do a training session. It's the week of Nogi World, so some of our competitors and everyone will get to train together. It's really important, I think, for our team members to get to train together from time to time, even though they're split between different locations, because we forget sometimes amongst the work that we do, like why we actually came together in the first place, like the same language that we speak, the way we bond, the vulnerability, the courage that you feel like on the mats, the sweat, like the bonding that you have when I think sometimes when we get into business in the jiu-jitsu world, we forget a little bit of that, and so I think it's important to go back to our roots and connect and bond in that way, and it makes for a stronger team overall. Of course, we have Professor Mike in town. He's able to be in person with us once again, which is a huge privilege, so really excited for him to be here. But he's going to try to check in with some of our team members and do some work with individual locations in person, so we'll talk more about that later, but really excited for that and grateful for his time here and making the time to make it happen. And so without further ado, I've got more to say later about what's happening this week, but we'll just kind of get started, like jump started into our regular Monday morning meeting, and we'll go from there.
Now we get into this next unit is all about what are the tools, what are the skills and the tools that I need in order to achieve the things I want to achieve in this world. So I know who I am, I know where I come from, I'm this good relationship with myself. It's a growing relationship, it's sometimes complicated. Great. I know what drives me and what moves me. Great. Now, in order to actually go do that, every monkey wrench in the world and every problem you can possibly think of is going to come and hit me in the face. How do I overcome those things? How do I handle those things to keep marching forward towards the things that I want to? So the first one is challenges. Somebody with a fixed mindset tends to avoid challenges, right? Somebody with a growth mindset embraces challenges. They understand the importance of that. Obstacles. People with fixed mindsets tend to give up pretty easily, and that's a relative term. I'm not saying on day one, but sometimes maybe and that's one of the things that I've learned over time. I just want to say, everything takes about 5 times longer than you think it's going to take in life. Like everything, right? And I think we all feel like you think it's going to go like this, and then it ends up taking 5 times. I just made the number up, and a lot of people can get discouraged from that. They're like, oh man, this is way harder than I thought it was, or it's going to take longer, it's not working. And that's where a lot of people quit, right? Blue belt blues as one thing, right? Like, whereas a growth mindset persists in the face of setbacks. Effort. Fixed mindset, they see effort as a fruitless process or worse, where people with the growth mindset see effort as the path to mastery. Now the coffee's kicking in. So. People with a fixed mindset are intimidated, they're threatened when they see others succeeding, whereas somebody with a growth mindset, they find lessons and inspirations from others' success, right, at the end of the day. I want to open up the floor, and if anyone wants to share any other thoughts, feedback, something where you felt like, hey, yeah, I felt like this, I'm good with this, but I'm not so good with this in my life.
I think for the most part, I have a pretty good growth mindset. But one thing that just kind of stuck out to me, where I was just like, oh, it's. And speaking of like Nogi Worlds, which is this week, and competitions and stuff like that, like for me, challenges sometimes becomes a kind of gray area. Like there's a part of me where I want to embrace the challenges of competition and stuff like that, but then there's also a part of me where I just kind of like, man, it'd be so much more comfortable not to do it. Right, it's just so much more comfortable to be like coaching on the sidelines or whatever the case might be, right? And so honestly, that's the biggest reason why I do compete still. Like I know that for me, I don't have to compete, and that's a luxury that I have. But I love to compete because it kind of forces me to have more of a growth mindset in that aspect, instead of it being like, okay, I'm avoiding so-and-so, I'm avoiding, going out there and competing. Oh, what are people going to think about me, et cetera, right? And so that's always kind of like the biggest challenge that I run into specifically with competition. I mean, with other things too, like different things that, different challenges in my current life and stuff like that. And sometimes I try to avoid things as much as possible, but I know for the most part, trying to embrace those challenges and seeing how I can get better and grow from it, I think is always going to be the biggest thing.
Yeah. Comfortability of a fixed mindset, right? Just staying where you are. It's really easy to get comfortable.
Yeah.
growth mindset, I think there's always growing pains associated with it. And so I think one of the areas that I've really tried to take strides in, and I think I picked this up from the tradition, is like having the difficult conversations. I think it's easy to just duck those, avoid those, but having just manning up and having these difficult conversations in order to grow.
Yeah.
It helps a lot.
You know, a lot of times with your own children, like people, they don't want their children to set big, exciting goals and try to achieve them because they're afraid that if they don't achieve the goal that they're going to be devastated, right? Plus, they haven't gone outside. They've taken the safe road and kept their head down and not done anything that's dangerous or risky, right? So they don't want someone else to do that, you know. And I think that stifles a lot of people, and it's generational, you know. Oh, be a dentist, you know. I don't want to be a dentist. I want to be an actor, right? No, be a dentist. It's safe, you know. And then they drink themselves to death or whatever. I mean, I think of all professions, I think dentists are like. I mean, not to pick on dentists, but you take somebody who's half brilliant and all they do is work on teeth all day, right? It's like, I think it always makes me think of that cliche, and I learned this the hard way, setting goals and stuff. It's like we always underestimate. We always, you know, sometimes I'm going to do this, and we think, we can do that in a year, right? So we talk about, you know, how we overestimate what we can do in a year, but totally underestimate what we can do in 5 years if we just stay to it.
Yeah. As leaders and as people that are really being stewards and shepherds of all of these people looking here to change their lives, it's important that we start to build the skills that really help them and be able to have sometimes difficult conversations with people. So the question is, we talked about building a growth mindset for ourselves. How do we help others build a growth mindset, right? What are some of the things that we can do? Or if we see somebody that's exhibiting a lot of fixed mindset on the mats, with kids, with adults, like whatever it is, what are some of the things you think, knowing kind of what we talked about, what are some of the things you feel like might be a useful way for us to help people start to shift from that fixed mindset into that growth mindset? Anyone have any thoughts?
I think one of the things that I've found most valuable that also it's funny how you can know something works and then forget to do it so often too, but I'm trying to remember more and more lately when helping people become more, help people grow their own growth mindset is to help them set smaller, achievable goals that feel outside of their comfort zone in order to build their own stack of proof and faith that they can do things that they didn't believe that they could before. Because I think if you, competing is such a great metaphor for things. If you just look at, the more you compete, it doesn't necessarily get easier, but you get more adept at managing the competition experience. So when you're in your 30th competition, you may not go in feeling 100% sure that you're going to win, but you know you're probably not going to die. And on the first one, you're not really sure. Right. You might die. That's how it feels anyway. So anyway, I think with work and with training, a lot of it can be the same, but rather than being impatient and wanting all of it to get, especially when growing a staff member, right, is a great example of well, I just want them to be in this position. It's well, they may not see that for themselves yet, but if I can break that down and say, okay, well, here's one small task that feels a little bit out of your comfort zone. Can you do that? And then they come back and they're oh, I did that. It actually wasn't that scary, actually. It wasn't that difficult. I'm actually kind of, okay, I'm good at this. And then it's the next thing. And then at the same time, when you have that stack of proof that you can do things that are new and you can be in a lot of growth, when you do fail and stumble and make mistakes, because those things are inevitably going to happen, you don't get halted in the same way. Because I think that, for me, is actually the most devastating thing about a fixed mindset, is what failure and mistakes do to a person's progress, because it immediately takes you back into frozen, okay, I'm being really hard on myself, I guess I can't do any of this, I won't even try, instead of being the most successful people. I think we hear this all the time, it's really cliche, but it's just the people that they don't necessarily need the plan laid out in front of them, they're just going to go. And sometimes you make a mess, but it's better, I think, to be the person that's just going to go. And sometimes it gets a little messy versus waiting because, I must need to have exactly all the right plans, because that doesn't exist for anybody. It's actually not real. Yeah. It's this imagined thing. And so I think bridging the gap when helping people grow into a growth mindset of saying I can't give you a whole plan, but here's one step to take. And then you're going to feel more levels of high self-esteem, and then the next time you go to take a step, it's not such a drastic thing to do. So I think that is part of what we're working on as a team in general. It's such a great topic. So.
Ways to help people shift from that fixed to growth mindset is reminding them whatever they're saying they're not good at or what they can't do, just add the word yet. Yes, I'm not good at, I'm not good at leg entanglements yet. You're not good at it yet because you haven't practiced it enough, you haven't learned it enough. And the other thing that we can do, and this is like the simplest one, we don't even think about it, just role model the behavior. Just people are around you. You always say just having that pack and those people. Just role model what growth mindset looks like all the time, right? Just be aware of that. So just thinking about that when we're on the mats with the kids, the adults. You guys are the role models.
Waiting to focus on a learning growth mindset or self-knowledge or self-mastery, emotional intelligence, whatever you want to call it, until there's a crisis. And then doing it then is the same thing as trying to learn self-defense, like right before somebody comes after you. It feels the same way.
Yeah.
So the maintenance and the consistency and the day-to-day focus on those things, even if it doesn't feel at the moment like this is really valuable, or even if it feels like, what the fuck am I doing this for? Why do I have to do this? Yeah. It's literally the same exact thing. And I can attest to being in many different situations where I was on top of myself, I wasn't on top of myself, I was behind the 8 ball, I was way ahead of the game on all these things. And it makes life much more palatable to just like if you were trying to defend yourself. Same exact feeling.
A little thing that I actually learned from Tom and that I've implemented into my life for almost 10 years now, and then I taught it to Lola, is I know myself, meaning if somebody says something, I resort to anger really fast, but I know that. Mm-hmm. But then I think of somebody that is calm in my life. So I actually use this in Jiu-Jitsu today. I use Saul, Kendall, Holly, and Tom, and I pick what position, right? Like if I'm angry and I need to talk to somebody, I channel Holly, what she say. And I'm not saying that everybody's perfect. I'm not trying to
inner Holly.
But I do, because I've learned from Holly.
Don't tell on me, guys.
That she's thoughtful. She's always thinking about the other person. Where I'm taking the information in and like, what's going on? And every time I've ever had a conversation with Holly, she's always guided me of like, let's think about them. I don't think that way, so I channel them. I don't. It's foreign to me, right? But it makes me feel good to channel somebody else, and because I practice it so much, I almost become that person, right? And that's the same thing when I tell my daughter Lola. Like Lola sometimes freaks out, and I tell her like, "What would Daddy do?" And she's like, "Well, Daddy would be like, okay, this is the problem. These are my 4 solutions." And which one's the best one. So with the group, my mindset of like growth, I'm always modeling whatever my weak point is of somebody that I believe is makes the right decisions or is strong in that position. Not saying that, once again, we all know that we're not all perfect, but they model something that I want and I try to mimic it, and I do it so much that I become it, and so then people will be like, you always have the answer. And in my head, I'm like, I was actually Holly in my head. That's right. It was like, oh, you were so blunt. Oh, that was Tom today. Oh, you're so organized. That's so old. And then if I want to be, if I'm a monster on the mat, I'm channeling Kendall that day.
What the career is going to look like and what the growth opportunities are. I would add that the growth mindset is the thing that supports humility the most, and humility supports confidence the most, I think. So obviously you can overdo any of these categories, but the person who feels like they can grow into the next version of themselves to be whatever it is they're trying to be or to achieve the next level of success isn't so afraid of admitting like, oh, I'm actually not sure how to do this. Can you walk me through it? And then also when there is something that's an answer that they might feel uncomfortable with trying, they're able to say like, okay, I'm not sure, I'm going to give it my best shot and I'll get back to you, and I think a lot of times when you have people with a lack mindset or kind of a fixed mindset, it's like, well, if I want this opportunity, I'm going to have to pretend that I have it all together and that I can figure it out. And it's like, there is some fake it till you make it for sure, but I feel that when I'm in and I'm not always 100% of this, definitely not the case, but when I am in my best version of growth mindset, I feel I'm also strongest in my humility, which makes me pretty courageous, because then it's not so
You're not
scary
afraid, yeah.
if I don't meet that thing that I set, because it's like, man, I'm really striving for this, but I'm okay also having accurate self-evaluation to say, like, I'm kind of here right now, but I really want to get there, instead of being like, no, I'm here. Did anyone say I wasn't there? Because the thing is, like, we think no one can feel it, but the people around us, especially the more experienced people around us in the room, they know. Like, they can feel the fake, like that kind of vibe. And we all go through different versions of it, but that's why I think, like, if you feel very comfortable with your growth mindset, then humility is not scary, because trying is not the end of the world if it doesn't go your way. It's not so scary. Yeah.
I love that. And this may sound weird, but I hope it doesn't. You are the product. We are all the product. That's it. How we shepherd or stewards of this art at the end of the day in creating the experience. It's an experience. That's what people value. That's what people care about, right? How is this experience going to help them become healthier, happier, like whatever that is? And so it's not jujitsu, it's us. We're the product. And so if we want to like knock it out of the park, we got to always be working on ourselves and making those commitments to get better. I think that just ties into Professor Kendall's stuff. Yes.
What it felt like to be a white belt. I forgot all the things that were important to me as being a white belt, and I've just, as I got my black belt last month, I've just been rethinking this whole thing of being a professor and like trying to understand what it was important to me and just turning it in that way. Because as a black belt, or as a person who teaches a lot, you just sometimes forget what it feels like.
Yeah.
And so I've been working on going back to like my first few days on the mat, my first year on the mat, my first 3-4 years on the mat, and the things that were important, the professors that stood out, the coaches that stood out, and specific things that people said to me. And it was always the things that I now think are the least significant. And it's little things like, oh, the professor's watching you when you're sparring. And they say like, nice hip escape. Once. Something,
Yeah, blue belts and purple belts.
Yeah. Or they remember your name and they say it 3 times during class. Or like, just they give you a nickname and it's like, it makes you feel good about yourself. There's so many tiny little things that I completely now, because it's just been so long and I'm focused on so many other things of like, well, what's important to me now? It's completely different. It doesn't matter. What's important to me now is nothing to do with what's important to a white belt that just started jiu-jitsu. So just switching it to like, what did I need when I first started is a really good way to do it, because then it doesn't put the blame on you, because it's not our fault for missing out on all these things, because we're trying so hard to be better in so many different ways and support the team and da-da-da-da-da. We forget the tiny little things that are actually the most significant things that were important to us.
I love that.
All right, guys, happy Monday. Great meeting today. I'm super excited to be here with everybody because we don't get to train together that often, so it's really fun. Of course, having Professor Mike and Professor Sula in town, and excited I get to say Professor Sula now. She just got her black belt last month. Here to do Nogi Worlds at black belt. Here to do Nogi Worlds at black belt for the first time, which is also very fun. So it's going to be a great week. Obviously, I know quite a couple of us here are competing this weekend, so today is going to be a fun, good training, but of course, audit any of the training as needed and take care of yourselves and speak up if you need to chill on certain rounds or anything like that. It's totally fine.
So one thing with the Mir Lock is the way to get it is always going to be off breaking the person's posture. So however they're holding you, their hands on their hips, whatever they're doing, I want to think about, this is usually the most common way people are holding me a nogi. So what I'm going to do is I usually like to come underneath the elbows. He's got like nice strong grips here. Go underneath the elbows and I'm going to pull these out as I bring my knees to my chest here. And this is really easy because now I'm in a really good position to just do a nice overhook. The good thing with the overhook is it's not that threatening. People usually don't really care too much about it. And they often allow me to get to this position here. What I want to avoid here is just staying here. Because from here, he's very flat. It's very easy for him to just pull it back out. From here, come to the side. It really depends. Like sometimes I'll be here, sometimes I'll be here, sometimes it's here, sometimes it's going to be here. Again, it depends on the person's size and my size. I think that's going to make the biggest difference. And if you can't reach, you can always come to here as well. But if you can ever get to this position, I think this is where it's much tighter. And then I think I didn't even realize I switched from here to here. Yeah. But I think as I hip escape, you're right, I
switch to here. Maybe because there's more space once you paper skate.
So it's when you're switching to when you feel your rib cage is under his elbow? Is that
Yeah,
what's happening?
I think so.
You said
'Cause
that
I
a couple
think-
minutes ago, like, oh, I was here and then I shifted my rib cage out and then I tightened
Yeah.
it.
So, because here, I can't really reach.
Okay.
It doesn't really have the same effect. So here's like I'm creating like an A with my hand and his hand. As soon as I hip escape away, there's a little bit more space. So I need to get lower down to go a little bit closer to his elbow. Because if I'm here still, it's not going to be super tight. I want to be like pointing down a bit more, I guess pointing in the direction of his elbow to create that tension. Whereas if I'm here, it's not going to put as much strain on his elbow. I want to be kind of here. And then as I bridge, that helps. So then this helps me. And again, if you can't, this is also fine. Let's give that a go. 1, 2, 3. But then you want to kind of create, so as he pulls his arm out,
Okay. And
you want to
then,
create this kind of like
does that feel right?
cowboy type
Like
thing.
cowboy.
Like comma. Not cowboy.
Yeehaw!
Woo!
Hers is a lot tighter.
Sorry.
See? I knew something was wrong. Okay, but like that?
Yeah, and then then get your ribs out a bit more.
Is that what you mean by ribs out a bit more?
Yeah, and then pop the shoulder.
Jeez, it's far away. Your arms are longer than mine?
Probably. Jeez. I'm longer than you, girl.
No, I always feel. Never
And
mind.
then get your hip bone attached to your elbow and bridge. Yeah.
Oh, so I'm sorry. I know I should let go, but I'm bridging that way.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. So what do you do? I'm gonna loosen it. What do people typically start pushing your knee down here like they're gonna pass? Is that common? Like with their left hand?
They do that. I have the triangle. So let's say I'm in the Mir Lock here, and you start to push on the knee. I think.
But wouldn't you'd be walking your body to your left to release the tension?
Yeah, I feel like.
I mean, don't hurt yourself, but that's what I. Oh, okay.
I think that's just gonna open up the triangle too much. Once I have the Mir Lock, the hand is usually coming to the Mir Lock. Like they try to make a grip.
Like here
Or
or here.
Yeah.
Oh, like pull their own arm in.
Yeah.
Okay,
If they're.
that makes sense.
Yeah, because I feel like
So I don't want to get them flatched. So I'm like, no, I'll just pull it out and then. Oh my God.
And this hand stays here.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's because my lat's cramping. So I'm like stuck there. So too strong. Too many lifts. Aye. God, it's horrible. Wow. No wonder yeah. It's really gnarly. Dad? Oh, well.
But this lock reminded me of that one.
Yeah. Well, the Mir Lock standing is a little different from the guard because people do that like, "Rah!" and then people get angry. But at the same time, like, if you're a high-level competitor, you shouldn't be leaving your arm. Like, you should know that that's coming. Like, that's R.I.P. Orlando. We love you. We love you. But yeah, that video that everyone was angry about him doing that, it was a Sean Strickland, right?
It's a submission.
Yeah, people were really mad about it. Like, oh, that's such a loser move. And I'm like, man, you're talking about like high-level competitors. If you're not prepared for that in training, that's a problem. Like, I shouldn't be leaving my arm in like loose underhooks like that with like strong whizzers already with tension. Especially because like anytime you have an underhook and somebody's elbow is down pressing on you, that's no longer your underhook, that's their whizzer. So you should know that if my elbow's up, I'm winning. If my elbow is down in an underhook, I'm losing, and that's now their whizzer. So at any moment, they can Mir Lock me, obviously like with the right position. But I will say, the one thing that would make it different is if like they were having a mutual agreement, like, oh, we're just kind of like flowing and sweating and like not doing like a crazy hard round, then of course like slapping on submissions in any case would be kind of frowned upon, but I wasn't there, so.
Oh man, yeah, the crimp, and then he said reaching for the cigarettes. Like the guy's got cigarettes in his top pocket, crimp, and then reach like that. Yeah.
That's so funny. I was just with Rolly in Dubai.
Yeah. How'd that go?
At ADCC, he always works those events.
I thought a Henzo was gonna let you stay in his pad.
That's
Huh?
different kind of information.
It's the eye in the sky, big brother.
I know. True. Big brother right there. So if Sula's here, like with this position, a lot of times what will happen is girls know that if they start to shift back, they're in danger either way they go, right? So they'll come here and try to like kind of collect the head and then sumo squat her up or sumo deadlift her up and then pick her up here. So oftentimes Sula finds herself in like a guillotine or battle like here, like go ahead and climb up my body. She'll even get to like body triangle. Yeah, she'll climb up to the body triangle here. So there's a lot of options from here, right, as far as finishing goes. But most of them involve her taking a risk because anytime she opens her guard, she's apt to fall, right? So I'm going to be here focusing on like pushing the hips down, and this is where she was finding herself struggle. So I'm going to start there and just show you guys how to finish the takedown. it's very simple, okay? A couple things happen at the same time, so I'm gonna explain it really quickly before I go through it step by step because it happens pretty fast. The main thing about finishing this takedown is that it is one continuous motion, and it involves a lot of confidence and courage. So it's not like, oh, maybe I'm gonna kind of try to like trip you. No, it's like all at one time. Okay, so it's very safe and it's very effective, but it has to be all at one time. So I have this Mir Lock grip. I'm gonna have my hand, I'm gonna bring it back from where it was on the guillotine, and I'm just gonna make sure that when I drop down, I'm ready to go for the trip. So I'm gonna be here, I have my Mir Lock grip, I have my collar tie, I'm gonna jump, boom, be in close, that was so graceful, be in close guard here. And as I come down, what I'm gonna look for is my left foot to already be behind her leg. So I'm gonna come down, I'm looking for the body lock and my left leg to land behind her leg at the same time. My hands are coming together. You're gonna see my head drive to the floor on this side where her shoulder is, and I'm dropping to my left knee. So again, I have the Mir Lock position or the over wrap. I can have a collar tie. I'm gonna jump, boom. Okay, so as if she just stood up with this closed guard. All at the same time. I bring my hands down. I bring my left foot to the floor. I drive my knee to the floor. My head comes to the ground. I'm being like very babyish with Sula right now, especially because she's competing this week. I'm just being very careful. Obviously, you can finish this a little bit more aggressively, especially in a live situation. You're going to the side of the overhook, guys. So you're going to the side of the overwrap.
Yeah, that's what she said.
Yeah, like you're really trying to like shake her off a lot. Yeah, so that's why like keep your head tight to him. Because when you drop, you want to already be leaning forward. You know what I mean? So then you go to body lock and drop and drive. Yes! Man, that's so nice. Like as I'm falling, I'm just... Alright, so what we're going to do, guys, with these groups is we're going to cycle through a couple different specific trainings. So if you're on top, you can open the guard to win. Person on bottom, your goal is to sweep submit, take the back without opening the guard. Okay, each person you're going to be in with for 1 minute, and then the next person is going to come. The person staying in the middle is going to be the person on bottom. That's the person who's working. So you're going to go for 2 rounds on bottom. Okay, any questions about this? Now you're going to be scared. So what shoulders hurt? Let me see. No. How many fights do you have?
I have no clue.
So many, right?
Yeah.
The racket's released already.
Yeah. I know, it's early.
That was kind of scary, actually. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna go into like X guard and stuff like that. I was like, oh wait, that's not the drill.
Yeah, so you gotta pay attention to the rules. Know the rules of the game, man. 10 seconds! No! 5 seconds! No! God's open. Man, Sula's a good coach. I pinched my knees together really hard. You went to open your guard voluntarily on that one. He was like, Dilly, I can't help it. You guys might have to I didn't start soon enough. Yeah? Yeah? Oh, you should have come up with me. That was a better opportunity. Huh? No, my arm's stuck too. You see this? Look at this. That's crazy, bro. That's a crazy technique. This is your instructional. Oh no! Guys, I took down Kendall restie. Just saying. Professor Sula's request for some Nogi Worlds, prep. We're gonna do another guard game just like that, but now the cycle is gonna be starting in a smash pass half guard. Okay?
I'll get that foot out of there.
I know, that's the worst. I didn't even try to score. I was just like, get off.
What do you mean?
Maybe with the little girls in the open class. So yeah, I don't know soccer rules. I just kind of go with like how we warm up in wrestling, and that's soccer interpreted.
Not much to go. You just kick the ball.
You just exactly. Just don't like be a jerk, right?
Pass the cone and pass the cone.
Yeah, there's goals. So we're gonna have 2 team captains. They're gonna pick their team. So Sula's team captain 1, Sala's team captain 2. Go in there. Okay, ready? Don't overcomplicate it. Just go. Ready? Go. Nobody. We are self-refereeing. Oh my gosh. No. You just have to be really aggressive. Go, Ollie, go. Made it. We're here. It was a great day with the team. We don't always get together like that because we have 4 different locations, so everyone's always far apart. So I hope you guys enjoyed a little bit of behind the scenes of some of the work that we do. Obviously, we didn't get too in depth on camera because it's like their information, but I think like in the Jitsu community, I know that it exists. It's just not something that we hear about very often. People who own multiple schools, especially up to 4 locations. So for us, like, we're really trying to work hard on our structure and expanding. I would say like the level of professionalism in jiu-jitsu business is something that we're very, very focused on right now, and it takes a lot of effort. I think people think like my major part of my life is like competing and commentating and traveling and all of that stuff, but really like at the end of the day, yes, I do a lot of things, but my bread and butter is entrepreneurship, is running businesses, is working with our incredible team, trying to develop myself, trying to develop our team members, and just get a little bit better every single day. So that's what we did a little bit today in a team meeting. Really fun to have Professor Mike out here from New Jersey. He does some consulting and some work with us, so it's been very fun to have him here in person because usually I'm seeing him on a screen. And then of course got to train and have some fun with each other, make some fun content with my friends, and now we get to go do more work. As soon as the camera goes off, we're going to have some more meetings and stuff. So anyway, it's gonna be a good day, long days, but this is the life. Like, I just got back from Dubai yesterday, and typically, like, yes, I travel, I do a lot of things, but as soon as I'm home, it's like kind of, you know, head down, back in the grind, long day. And that's how we can make it work, because, you know, I think a lot of times people feel, you know, like there's this obsession with balance, and I think that it's a great thing to aim to have a balanced life. But for me, like, I want to be excellent in a lot of different areas, so sometimes there's a certain balance in one thing, and then there's another season where another thing takes over. Right now I'm in a season where everything is growing, which is a huge blessing, but that means like everything requires 100% of me. So I remember there was this interview where Kobe Bryant had said something like, yeah, when I'm, you know, on the courts for practice, like, I'm a professional team member, I'm a professional athlete. When I go out into a tournament, or I'm sorry, in a game, there you go, jiu-jitsu terms. When I go into a game, I'm a professional competitor, I'm a professional, NBA player. But when I go home, like I go out with my wife, like I'm a professional husband. And when I'm with my daughters, I'm a professional father. And then when I'm running, these other entrepreneurial businesses, like I'm a professional business owner. So I really took a lot of inspiration from that. And I think that every single thing I try to do, I try to give 100%. And I definitely fall short, like a lot of the time. Like, we were making jokes earlier about how people are waiting on me for 5 days to respond to something, or I work with a brand and I miss a deadline. Like, I do my best to hit everything as well as I can, but it's like, yeah, like, I don't think that my life, a lot of, like, should be glamorized in any way, because there sure are amazing parts of it that I'm really grateful for. But a lot of the work is like just down and dirty and good old fashioned work, meetings and meetings and meetings and meetings and like running numbers. And, our 4 schools, like the month of November, some of them hit their targets, other ones didn't. And it's really frustrating. And we're looking like, man, why did we not hit this mark? And where can we get better? And it's definitely not all wins, It's like there's a lot of good old fashioned hard work that goes into what we do. And the core of me, like at my heart, is an entrepreneur and a creator. And so I express that in different ways. But yeah, it's like I was just in Chicago for a week with my family. That was a version of balance, of getting to like spend time with my family, right? That was a very important priority to me. I was working the whole time I was there as well, and training and all of that. Went to Dubai, went to commentate, and was on, meetings. Like, I'm 12 hours different, so I do meetings at 9 p.m. there, 10 p.m. there, to have 9 a.m., 10 a.m. on the Pacific Coast. And then I'm giving 100% to the show and doing things and, barely sleeping and working out and training while I'm there. And then I fly back, and then it's like right back into this. But I wouldn't have it any other way for this season of my life, because I'm trying to grow and expand. And so yes, like, do we take time for ourselves and time to slow down? For sure. But anyway, my point is that there's always more behind the scenes than it looks like on Instagram, right? Or like on a YouTube video, because today I got to show some fun training and games and stuff, but a lot of what we do is, the camera's not on when I'm in the corner, like I was a minute ago, having a conversation with an employee about like a very frustrating situation where we're losing a lot of money because of a mistake that we made. Like the camera's not rolling for that. So just a heads up to everybody out there that, like, don't compare your dark, hard, frustrating moments to like the glamour that you see on camera, because that's not the majority of what's going on. 100% of the time, not even usually over 50% of the time. A lot of the time it's the highlights, right? And I love my highlights, but I love the grind too. Like, I live for like the dark, frustrating, all of that kind of stuff too. Like, I love putting out fires. I'm a problem solver. I'm really good at it. I think that's why I was made for entrepreneurship. And again, like when everyone's Instagram bio all of a sudden started saying like, entrepreneur, I'm an entrepreneur. And it's like, I think that I'm not really blaming those people, because I do think it was over glamorized, especially like, I love Gary Vee, and that's like someone that people look at that, they're like, oh, I want to be like Gary Vee. And it's like, do you though? Because you see the cool content, but you don't see like all the hard stuff that's going on behind the scenes, like all the mean things that people were saying, all the money he's losing, the businesses going, down the toilet. Like, you hear about the great stuff. So anyway, fun to share a little bit of behind the scenes today, but there's a lot more work to be done today that's not going to be quite as fun. And then I'll get back to having shiny moments too. So anyway, thanks for following along for the journey.